Hello friend, today our topic for discussion is human right concept, standards and legal framework. Skill development. This is a skill development program for students of MCOM. Academic presentation on human rights. Our focus will be on vulnerable groups, women and children with the case laws and landmark judgment. We move to general introduction to the human rights. Human rights are inherent, inalienable, and universal right based on the dignity, equality, liberty, and justice, protected through constitutional and international framework, and they are essential for democratic governance and rule of law. What is the meaning of vulnerable and disadvantaged group? Vulnerable groups are those exposed to discrimination and social exclusion. They are socially excluded. Disadvantaged groups lack access to economic, political, and social resource. Vulnerability may arise due to gender, caste, poverty, disability, and minority status in society. The state intervention is necessary for the substantive equality. The government should take initiative to uh, to close the gap and to make them to come in a streamline. Theoretical foundation, natural right theory, right inherited by birth, legal positives theory, right protected by law, Marxist perspective focus on socio-economic inequality, customary culture and problem. Patriarchal tradition and gender discrimination, child marriage, dowry practices, caste-based exclusion, cultural stigma against minority and disabled person. There are some constitutional provision to stop these customary practices. That is Article 14, that is equality before law. Article 15, prohibition for discrimination. Article 21, right to life with dignity. There is a very well-known landmark judgment, that is Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan, recognized the workplace sexual harassment as a violation of the fundamental right, and this this led to POSH Act. Vishaka, let's get into some detail regarding this case. Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan, 1997, a Supreme Court landmark judgment of the Supreme Court of India that established mandatory guideline to prevent a sexual harassment of the woman to prevent sexual harassment of the woman at workplace, prompted by a gang rape by of a social worker Bhanwari Devi. The court ruled such harassment violates the fundamental right of Article 14, Article 15, Article 19, and Article 21. What are the socio-economic problems? The first one is poverty and unemployment, limited access to the health care and education, wages discrimination, informal labor exploitation. Wages are different for men and as well as women. Financial exclusion and lack of credit access. UN Convention 1989 focuses on survival, protection, development, and participation. Our Constitution, Article 21, mentions right to education. Article 24 deals with prohibition of hazardous child labor, and the landmark judgment is Unni Krishnan versus State of Andhra Pradesh 1993. What are the international framework? The UN Declaration of Human Rights 1948, International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights International Covenant on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights, Convention on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, Social Status of Women in the International Perspective. Global Gender Inequality Index highlights disparities, gender pay gap, and glass ceiling phenomenon. Under the representation of political institutions, violence against women remains global concern. Women's right. What does our constitution tells? Article 14 speaks about equality before law. Both men and women should get an equal treatment, and they are all equal before the law. Article 15 describes prohibition on discrimination. Now, this prohibition on discrimination is on men, women, depending upon their caste, gender, creed. There should not be any discrimination. Article 16 says equality, equal opportunity in employment. Every person, whether it is a male or a female, should get an equal opportunity of job, equal opportunity of employment in every sector, in private as well as public sector. Article 21 says right to life with dignity. Now, right to life with dignity got a broader prospect from 1952 till 2026. There are various kinds of right to life. The landmark judgment of Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan 1997, the Supreme Court recognized the sexual harassment at workplace are the violation of Article 14, Article 15 and Article 21 and that laid down the Vishaka guideline, and that was the foundation of POSH Act 2013, expanded scope for the gender justice in India. There is another landmark judgment on triple talaq, that is Shaira Bano versus Union of India, made a triple talaq crime offense. A triple talaq declared unconstitutional, affirmed gender equality and dignity, strengthened constitutional morality and principle. Women protection laws in India. The Protection of Women from the Domestic Act 2005, Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace 2013, Maternity Benefit Act 2017, and Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. There are some other, that is Domestic Violence Act 2005, which governs the women protection. What are the social status of children in the international perspective? The child labor and trafficking issues globally, malnutrition and conflict related displacement, education access disparity, need for child centric policy reforms. The UN, there was a UN Convention on the Rights of the Child in 1989. What that convention include? Four core principles: survival, protection, development, participation, right to education and healthcare, protection from exploitation, global accountability mechanism. What are the provisions for the children in under Constitution of India? Article 21 speaks about right to education. That is a compulsory education for the students of for the children till the age 14. There is a compulsory education for the students under the age from 3 to 14. Article 24 says prohibition of child labor and hazardous industries. There is also act called as Child Labor Act, where a child below 14 is prohibited from work at any place, and which is punishable with 2 years of imprisonment. Directive principle promoting welfare under directive principle of state policy. right to dignity and development. The landmarks case of Unni Krishnan versus State of Andhra Pradesh recognized right to education as a fundamental right under Article 21, led to 86th Constitutional Amendment, Foundation for Right to Education Act 2009. This act made the private institution and school reserved for uh, people who cannot pay their fees in those private institutions. There is a landmark case, a different landmark case, that is MC Mehta versus State of Tamil Nadu. He was an environmentalist as well as an advocate. This case law concerned child labor in hazardous industries, court mandated compensation and rehabilitation, strengthened enforcement of child labor, child protection law in India, Juvenile Justice Act 2015, POXO Act 2012, Child Labor Act 2016, National Commission for Protection of Children Right, National Human Right Institution, National Human Right Commission, that is NHRC, State Human Right Commission, National Commission for Women, National Commission for Protection of Child Right. What are the challenges faced for implementing those all rules? Lack of awareness, legal illiteracy, people don't know their rights, weak enforcement mechanism, social resistance to reform, economic constraint, and corruption. Human right and economic development. Inclusion growth, it requires protection of vulnerable group, skill development, enhance empowerment, corporate social responsibility role, sustainable development goal alignment. What are the conclusions? Human right ensures dignity and equality. Women and children requires continuous legal protection. Judiciary plays a transformative role through landmark judgment, collective responsibility for inclusive and sustainable development. Thank you.